team must choose a strategy for controlling each risk that results from the ranked vulnerability risk worksheet. The five strategies are defense, transfer, mitigation, acceptance, and termination. The defense control strategy attempts to prevent the exploitation of vulnerabilities. The defense strategy includes three common methods: application of policy, education and training, and application of technology. The transfer control strategy attempts to shift risk to other assets, other processes, or other organizations. These controls can be accomplished by rethinking how services are offered, revising deployment models, outsourcing to other organizations, purchasing insurance, or implementing service contracts with providers. The mitigation control strategy attempts to reduce the impact of an attack rather than reduce the success of the attack itself. This approach requires the creation of three types of contingency plans: the incident response plan, the disaster recovery plan, and the business continuity plan. The acceptance control strategy is a choice to do nothing more to protect a vulnerability based on the current residual risk and the organization's risk appetite. This strategy may or may not be a conscious business decision. The termination control strategy directs the organization to avoid business activities that introduce uncontrollable risks. Risk control involves selecting one of the five risk control strategies for each vulnerability. The following list provides some rules of thumb for selecting a risk control strategy. When a vulnerability exists, when a vulnerability can be exploited, when attacker's cost is less than potential gain, and when potential loss is substantial. This flowchart can guide you through the process of selecting one of the five strategies. Before implementing one of the five control strategies, the organization must explore all consequences of the vulnerability to the information asset. To justify use of a control, the organization must determine the actual and perceived advantages of the control as opposed to its actual and perceived disadvantages. The CBA determines whether a particular control is worth its cost. CBAs may be calculated before a control or safeguard is implemented to determine if the control is worth implementing. CBAs can also be calculated after controls have been functioning for a while. The valuation of assets involves estimating real and perceived costs associated with design, development, installation, maintenance, protection, recovery, and defense against loss and litigation. CBA is most easily calculated using the ALE from earlier assessments before implementation of the proposed control. Subtract the revised ALE, which is estimated based on the control being in the place. This revised value is known as ALE post. Complete the calculation by subtracting the annualized cost of a safeguard, ACS. The selection of a control strategy is not the end of a process. The strategy and its accompanying controls must be implemented and then monitored on an ongoing basis to determine their effectiveness and to accurately calculate the estimated residual risk, while the implementation process follows a standard SDLC approach. This shows how the cyclical process is used to ensure that risks are controlled. Note that there is no exit from the cycle. It continues as long as the organization continues to function. Quantitative assessment are steps performed using actual values or estimates, while a qualitative assessment performs these steps using an evaluation process.